How's it going, everyone? I'm Honan.
I'm Oliver.
And today, I guess we have three subjects that kind of, they don't correlate, do they?
No, we
No.
we have we have we have our news section, and then we have
Yeah.
we have the other bit.
I suppose it'll be like two kind of news coverage things and then predictions for 2023. If you
Yeah,
remember in kind of the beginning of 2022, I said my prediction was Stacy. I very quickly changed that to Ive as soon as I saw 11, and then Love Dive happened. We know I still like Stacy, but we know I went on a very, very long Ive tangent through this entire year. We will kind of give you the same predictions for 2023 at the end of this episode.
yeah. We'll speculate wildly and live to rue the day of dumb things that we
It's my favorite
we
thing to do.
say. Yeah, yeah. As is all right.
I suppose the very
Um,
first thing we will talk about is the Luna situation has an update since we last did an episode.
yeah. So now it's less about Chu herself and more about the other members of Luna. So it had been reported that although Blockberry denied it initially, that nine of the other Luna members had filed injunctions to get their contracts suspended. Um, so everyone except Hyunjin and Vivi, who didn't file injunctions or do anything, as far as we know. So last week, Heejin, Kimlet, Jinsol, and Cherry all had their injunctions succeed. The court approved them, and as a result, their contracts have been suspended. Though they're not out of the company yet. Like an injunction and suspension doesn't mean the contract is fully terminated and they leave the company. It means that they have to wait for further pending action.
Yeah.
But as far as everyone is concerned, they are now like Chu. They are no longer members of Luna under Blockberry Creative. However, the other members, Hassel Yodin, Eve, Olivia Hay, and Golwan, lost their injunctions and consequently remain under contract in the same way as they were before.
And we just don't know what made their contract different enough that they didn't win their lawsuits.
Well, it transpired that actually the four whose injunctions were successful were actually under the same weighting, the change weighting that Chu was. So at some point, Bobry had changed their contracts, whereas the others had changes made at some point, like 1 or 2 years ago, and they hadn't changed since. And the judge ruled that those weren't sufficient enough to back for their claims or whatever. The exact details aren't fully known, but something along those lines that the contracts between them were different and these ones were more or less unfair, and consequently there was some kind of ruling in that regard. I was trying to see any kind of similarities really between the members who succeeded versus the members who didn't, and there's no real correlation in terms of like who's had Heejin's certainly the second most like popular member after Chu, I'd say, in terms of like the stuff that she's done.
Yeah.
And I would say that Kim Lip and Jinsol are also up there, and they've both done extra stuff. But Cherry hasn't done as much stuff in terms of like individual activities and things like that, unless there's some stuff I'm just not aware of or whatever. And some of the others have done that kind of thing. So I don't think that, and it's not to do with the order in which they debuted or when they joined or anything like that. It doesn't seem like there's any real
I saw a statement
data.
that was like really unfortunate from one of the members that didn't win their lawsuit made a statement basically saying she felt like every day she had like the weight of a truck on her basically, and she didn't know how to make a
Yeah,
statement about it, which is like the worst thing to say.
that yeah,
Like,
that was Eve. She as soon as the news broke, a lot of the members kind of broke their silences that they've had for some time and posted stuff. Yotin also made a similar kind of thing in the middle of the night, saying she couldn't sleep and stuff like that. You know, it's just very sad that obviously it's taking a big toll on them mentally. And with Fab, the service that they've been using to talk to people is closing. I don't know exactly when it ends. I imagine it must be maybe the end of the month or something. Um, a lot of them have now opened personal Instagram accounts. So that's something that at least there might be a way for people to at least keep more clear tabs on them. Vivi just opened hers like an hour or so ago, I think. So yeah, so that's something, but it's still, yeah, it's a rough situation. And I think chances of it doesn't seem likely that we're going to see the 12 of them together again, at least not for many years.
Well, yeah, and the ones who are left in contract with Blockberry, I just don't know how that situation works. That's such a wild
Yeah.
scenario that I don't think anyone's even seen a scenario like this before, really. Where
Oh
it's
no,
like,
we have not with the lawsuit and everything, but we've certainly seen situations where members of groups have just kind of been left stuck in contracts,
they're just stuck in
um,
it and they can't.
with
Yeah,
with no activities or anything. They just kind of have to just sit and wait for it to eventually kind of expire. I mean, people pointed to like Dara at YG towards the end of her career, but I mean, she was still doing stuff, so it's not quite
yeah,
the same. But very recently, in fact, there were three members from Block B who whose contracts finally expired, and it was like shit. It's been 3 or so years since any of them released any music, and they've just been sat there waiting. um, and they were trapped basically under what is now KQ Entertainment, to AT's his label. So I'm blaming AT. I'm joking. um, and so now they're finally free and they can do that kind of thing. So it's going to be the same deal. But I mentioned this before. And I don't think, although unless when they change the contracts, they made these amendments or changed the weightings or whatever, if that constituted a re-sign and they extended the contract expiration, if that's the case, then it's going to be real murky for them. But if not, a lot of them will be ending like pretty soon. Like Yojin's actually, it was like really bad timing that it was like the other day was Yojin's debut date, like anniversary, like when her solo came out like 6 years ago or something. So
yeah.
yeah,
For
hopefully it won't be 2 or maybe 1 or 2 years at most, but still,
yeah,
it's
I
been a
would. Do
long
you
time.
think Blockberry tries to do anything with the members still on
I
their contract?
think I think they might, but like it's already been proven to them that they're not going to get anything because of the boycott, and the boycott's been way more effective than I thought it was going to be. Like more people were participating in it than I thought was going to be a thing, and maybe as time goes by, they might start going. More people might start thinking, oh, I want to support the ones who are still there because it's not fair for them to just have to sit and do nothing for so and so many years. Um, but well, I mean, we'll have to cross that bridge when we get to it. I mean, they still have stuff scheduled, supposedly, like a fan sign for the season's greetings and stuff like that. Um,
God, imagine the debacle that.
I mean, imagine all of it. Like
Oh my god.
they had an album ready to go,
Yeah.
apparently. And that's never going to see the light of day. Um, so yeah, God knows it's very messy.
I guess in all this, I feel really bad for like Hostel because you got to be like the leader of a group that is basically just like half disbanded now,
Mm.
and then like what is that even? It's just such a weird situation to
After she
be
was
in.
out for so long as well,
Yeah, like
you know, yeah, it's rough. Um, yeah, and it must be hard for, well, obviously it's hard for all of them. It must be hard for Chu as well, watching it kind of almost from an external point of view, like feeling like she was the catalyst for the group, like imploding basically.
yeah,
Um, and hopefully it does have a happy ending, down the line when everyone is free of the company or whatever, and they can freely come together and do something on their own. But yeah, that won't be for all for a while, I don't think,
yep.
unless perhaps the members who are still there are able to file for another lawsuit and succeed this time. Um, I'm not sure if they'll be able to do that.
Yeah, I guess the
That's,
perfect ending would have been them all just having the successful lawsuit the same as the other ones who won. Then it would have kind of fixed the whole situation. Basically, they'd all be in the
yeah,
same situation Chu's in after winning hers, basically.
They'll just hope that Blockberry goes bankrupt and has to let them go.
Yeah.
Like they can't keep the lights on in the building
It's
anymore.
just
Like
it's wild to me. BlackBerry must know they're not going to be able to make money now off of it, but they're just going to hold on to these girls' contracts for like 2 years or whatever.
yeah, it happens. And they have trainees, so there's going to be an attempt to debut the next group. A lot of the girls from they picked up a bunch of girls from Girls Planet right after that happened. I think there were two or three of them. And they also, of course, have Sonia from Wonder Girls who signed for them earlier last year. So she's probably sat there like, what the fuck happened here? Like, yeah,
I just, if they debut a new girl group, I'm gonna feel so bad for the members of that girl group because that's just like the worst debut situation
yeah,
you could be in.
and
Like,
especially because a lot of the people who previously might have given them a listen are now not going to because like the Loona boycott is going to extend
yeah.
to them as well. Yeah,
Imagine any
it's rough.
other label, like if YG just like slapped Blackpink into oblivion and then debuted Baby Monster in the middle of that or whatever, that would be
Well,
like
that's more or less what YG did with
did
To
when they debuted
Anyone.
Blackpink with 2NE1. Yeah,
Yeah,
but I feel like
it.
that situation had time to develop kind of.
At least to anyone had their full like 7 years or whatever,
Yeah,
but
like and
it's
2NE1
yeah
had been atop the K-pop for a bit with Big Bang and stuff, and
yeah, but it's
Luna never really had that like moment, and then they were
no,
just like,
they're certainly getting there. I think that's maybe what a lot of fans don't necessarily appreciate fully is that they were getting there. It's like, of course, the way the contract and stuff was weighted was unfair, and it's the company's responsibility for taking on such a large project and putting themselves so much in debt, and then not doing things to help themselves alleviate that debt, like doing what a contract they had with a company was and stuff like that, for lawsuits, tax evasion, all that shit. Um, but the way that Luna was growing was very positive, and like at some point they would have been breaking even. It's just the people got tired of waiting, and because of Chu's individual success, that he ended up being the catalyst. But well, I think people in the future are going to look back on Luna as a very interesting project, and certainly lessons to be learned. I think for some other companies and groups who have similar ambitions.
it's more of just what a waste. Like,
That too.
like
Although I don't think I don't know how obviously, but maybe it's a bit too doomsayery to be like, oh, what if who will stay in the industry or whatever? Because there's still a chance for all of them, right? But
yeah.
I wonder. I imagine some of them are probably like, yeah, I'm not really feeling like doing more idle stuff after all this.
Well, they're
You know?
just one of those groups that had really interesting soundscape that they could do, compared to a lot of other groups from their like gen of K-pop, especially just like, and especially when you think to like Butterfly like era and stuff like that, and then how much they changed over time to things like Why Not and all that. And Paint the Town was, I thought, a good release too. Like all of it was just, it's just a strange thing to have like that good a catalog of music and just be like, nope, like
Yeah.
not making any money off this really like good catalog of music that we have. Like,
Well, that means yeah, Luna certainly has quite unique in that regard in terms of like just the style or whatever, the Luna sound.
yeah.
Um, but of course, it's a tale as old as time in K-pop, right? Like a great, very talented group with great music that just never made any money and never got anywhere. You know,
Yep. It's just a shitty thing.
it sucks.
It's
Yeah,
just, it's just,
the conclusion is it sucks. I mean,
yeah.
yeah. Obviously, that if more stuff comes out, then we'll update. But that's where it stands right now. And I guess the next step is to see what the members whose injunctions were successful, what they do next, and if some details can emerge that damn Blockberry even more, then maybe that will give room for the others to break free. But yeah.
Yeah, if Hostel somehow escapes her contract and debuts solo, everyone will finally see how big of a Hostel stan I am.
She's oh, some of them certainly have the chops to be solo artists. I'm not sure if all of them do.
Hmm.
But people were saying how weird it would be. Like I couldn't imagine seeing one of them just like in another group, you know.
It's very possible
Just
that happens, though.
yeah.
Well, off of one pretty depressing topic into one that's obnoxiously ridiculous is the kind of, if anyone's been online and seen kind of the Wonyoung hate compilations that seem to be like endlessly uploaded everywhere, it seems like, I feel like, lately. And it's always stuff that is like really grasping for straws, you know, like a weirdly zoomed in frame of a clip of like Wonyoung did not bow to her seniors on the way to grabbing her award or whatever. Not trying to think like, it's, people always seem with her to just instantly go to what would be the worst presumption
Yeah.
of someone without any kind of like, well, maybe, you know, she's nervous and just won an award and is just like fully focused on going to the stage to grab that award or anything. No, no benefit of the doubt. Like, it's just boom, worst possible character trait we can apply to you instantly. You know, it's like,
Yeah. Or maybe she actually did bow and they just didn't show it
yeah,
in
yeah,
that
off.
footage. Like
Yeah,
yeah,
like
I
I
mean,
said, the next clip that'll like auto generate and load from YouTube was like her bowing to N hyphen when I saw like one of the hate compilation clips of it. And so the thing to me in the comments when you see them, I instantly, I read the comment, I'm like, this person has to be like 10 years old or something. Like, I don't think this is like not a fully formed thought.
yeah.
It's like word salad thrown out from just pure like hatred spewing out of it, you know. Like,
Yeah.
it's ridiculous.
People hop on the hate bandwagon very easily. I think it's also very rooted in misogyny. Like
Hmm.
as soon as a woman is like on top, people will do anything they can to try and bring her down. And this kind of thing has happened many times. I think very notably back in 2018 with Momoland, they had like a, oh my god, they didn't bow to BTS. They were laughing when BTS were performing. The audacity. There's also a similar. There was a clip that came out of BTS laughing while Momoland were performing, which of course got none of the same traction or response, whatever. And all all these, I know it's a tired and trite phrase, but keyboard warriors being like, yeah, that's the last time you
Yeah.
mess with BTS. Get them, army. You
Yeah.
know, that kind of
I
shit.
guarantee you every group during one of those performances is just like whispering jokes into each other's like the entire time. Like,
Not least because it's your third awards show that week and you're fucking bored of
yeah.
seeing the same
They're sitting
songs.
there for like 7 hours.
Oh, bro, Jesus. It's just, yeah, and you're not supposed to talk to anyone because then you might have some other drama coming. Like, oh my god, what were they talking about? Like, just
That's the thing with that clip too. You know, if she was like overly stared at whoever it was and like did too much of a bow, then someone would find a way to be like, oh,
she's
she's
already
infatuated with this person or something. It's like, what?
exactly.
Like,
She's
dude, like,
already had loads of people who
yeah,
ship her and Turning Kai together because they're like really similar ages or something, and they've spent some time together or whatever. I don't know.
yeah.
Uh, but I don't know how much it's coming from Moas. I don't know. My opinion of Moas has always been that they're quite chill
Mm.
as fandoms go. Um, so to see that kind of stuff from people who are ostensibly like defending TXT is kind of is really
No, I don't
disappointing.
even think it was like their fan base per se in the comments. I think
Yeah,
it's just
I don't
people
think
who
so.
don't like Wong Yun, who find any opportunity they
Yeah,
can to latch
yeah,
on to that. Like, it's
yeah. It's very sad. And it's just anything she does is immediately under the spotlight and criticized her sharply. I think it's also it's worth pointing out like Wonyoung is so this is part of the reason what people say about her all the time, right? Is that she's so on all the time. Like
Yeah.
she doesn't miss a beat when it comes to knowing where the camera is, knowing her angles, and knowing what expressions to have and what things to do in order to generate buzz and create the right impression about herself. Like, you think she ain't gonna bow? Are you kidding? Like,
The video
literally
too is
ridiculous.
just like it says the video says like Ive doesn't bow, like the whole group basically, and you literally in the zoomed in frame see Eugen like in the beginning finishing the bow or whatever.
Yeah,
It's like, come
it's
on,
very
dude.
silly.
It's so
And,
ridiculous.
and moreover, it's a bunch of non-Korean people commenting on a cultural, societal thing in Korea, like they have any authority about it. It's like it's it's just like in those situations, everyone's just constantly doing this to each other, like constantly.
Yeah.
And it's like, what do you think she's gonna fucking 90-degree drop down just because like she's in front of Bongyu? Which is, in fairness, I would gladly get on my knees in front of Bongyu, but that's neither here nor there. Like, there's nothing wrong with her as she gets up and someone is clapping or whatever for her to just go like a little nod of the head. There might not be that, like shown on camera, or it might just be subtle or whatever. That's fine, and no one in that situation would feel aggrieved by it, except for all of the fans who
Yeah,
want to make a
in
big
my
deal out
opinion,
of
at
it.
that moment too, they're navigating this like lane they have to get to the stage to grab the award. They're probably just like, "Oh my god, don't trip, don't do anything," like right now, like walking
That
over
too, yeah.
there.
There feels
Like,
like, yeah,
it's just yeah, and I feel like in all this, the most ridiculous part of it is Wonyoung is barely an adult. Like
well, yeah,
like
yeah,
18 bear like I it's like, and they're treating her like she's some. I understand she's been in the industry for a long time, but they're treating it like, I don't know, it's just they're treating her a lot older than she is, in my opinion, or whatever, forgetting how young of a person she actually is.
yeah,
And it's like you're spewing just constant hatred to someone who barely just turned like 18.
yeah.
It's wild.
It is just it's always going to happen no matter what. Whoever comes out to be like on top, whoever's in the most popular group or whoever is one of the most popular people, they're always just going to generate that kind of hate from people who feel threatened for whatever reason that
Yeah.
the people they like aren't getting the same buzz anymore or whatever it might be. Um, but yeah, Christ, people do need to just fucking rein it in.
Yeah.
Um, that segues into another topic that's emerged as of yesterday, about Promise Nine. Basically, Promise made all of their content on Weverse membership only. I think normally I don't use Weverse, so I don't know exactly how it works. But I think normally if you're signed up to Weverse, you can just go to any artist's page and you can access their stuff, right?
Yeah.
And then there's like paid extra stuff that you can see only if you're a member of their particular fan club. And so like doing like lives and stuff, you can just do in general, and you don't have to be a member to see those. But Promise changed that, and people were kind of wondering like, why. And then the other day, Young did a live that wasn't part of the membership, but like Gateway or whatever, and gated behind the membership, I should say. And the comments were just like, God, like fucking awful shit, like really, really bad. Um, Not even necessarily directed at her, but just like like just directed to Jihan or directed to the group in general. Like really sexually explicit stuff,
Damn.
death threats, saying like they should commit suicide. Uh,
Because their company made a financial decision that they have no part
no, no,
in
no.
deciding.
So the reason that they went behind the membership in the first place was because of these comments.
Because
They were
of
getting
these comments. Okay.
they were getting them all the time, and so they
They're
were like, okay, let's go
they're hoping
private.
haters wouldn't pay for subscription like fees
Yeah,
to that's why.
yeah. I hope you die in a car accident with your parents.
What the
uh,
fuck, dude?
your sister was forced to get married and get a child after getting raped, right? Does your sister earn cash by opening her pussy like a whore? Other such things like this. And you can see, although obviously they try to ignore the comments or whatever, like the volume of them and the amount that they're getting repeated and stuff, you can see like you can see her eyes going down as she's like reading it, and then you can see her getting visibly upset, and eventually she like signs off. And obviously there are other people in there being like, hey, like can we block these people? Like what's going on? And a lot of people are kind of pointing at Hybe and saying, hey, how can we like protect them
Yeah.
better? Obviously it's a very difficult thing
Is there
to
no like
stop
moderator in that
a
to
lot of the
just
time.
like
No,
it's
no.
I'm surprised it's not like a Twitch chat where they could just be like clap them
Obviously
out
like,
of existence when they type some crazy thing like that, you
there
know,
should be
like
stuff like that, and it always pisses me off. I remember V Live no longer exists, right? So that's one thing. But when V Live was around, there were never any mods, and it was always hella annoying. Like when I would be watching like Nature or whatever on V Live, and like loads of the comments, not abusive or anything like that, but just from other fans
yeah.
being like, just people spamming BTS in the comments or asking them to speak
Well,
fucking
I
Arabic or whatever.
it's like
Like,
whenever you go to a Blackpink video, 100% of the time, every time I swear, you will go in the comments and there will be that G Dragon is King comment somewhere in there. Just totally
right.
unrelated to what's happening. You know, and I'm just like, I like G Dragon a lot too. I like Big Bang a lot. Why is this random upload of Blackpink just have this comment 100% of the time thrown in, you know, to the and it's like having that person in your comments when you're live or something should just not should be a thing that you can get out of there. You know what I mean? Like it's to not have a moderator in a modern like live format to me is insane. Like
Mm.
because you just
it,
then
it
someone can
it's
come in there and say
definitely
anything.
yeah, it's definitely I mean there's like filters on words and stuff, but obviously there's ways around that. um and yeah, it goes a lot deeper than that, and I haven't fully it's still like being kind of evaluated and stuff. There's some people who saying that the reason why Sarah went on a hiatus was related to that after her dating rumors and stuff with Silk from Pentagon. And also people are thinking that there's some things to do with why Geary left or like and stuff like that. And a lot of people apparently there was like a whole group of like anti fans who signed up for membership and stuff and promoted as flovers against Geary when she
Well,
left.
well,
And
imagine how
like,
mentally taxing that is. If every
oh
time you
god,
got to go on a live thing, you just got to read a bunch of people slandering you, your members,
yeah,
and saying like the worst things to you with no repercussions to them at all. Like it's ridiculous. I do.
yeah,
This is why IU is always such a queen. She did like all those like lawsuit things she tried to form against people who did online bullying and everything else, and like tried to. Didn't she even try to change like a legislation for it or something too?
yeah. Um, yeah, it's very rough because apart from just like moderating one chat is one thing, but like people will just make a different account and say the same shit, and all the satisfaction is just derived from the members reading it. So it doesn't a ban doesn't actually matter to them very much.
Yeah.
Um, it's rough, yeah, and the members are not able to tune it out. I think that's the thing that they're reacting to it, and that's obviously incentivizing them further.
Yeah, I don't think a paid subscription is like something that's gonna stop that because I feel like someone who hates that much isn't gonna be stopped by a paywall to
Yeah,
do it. You know,
yeah.
there is. I'm surprised you could. They can't just make it like fan club members who are obviously like in the fan clubs and like I don't know. It's just I'm surprised they can't gate it to just being like fan club members or something like that.
Yeah, but obviously then you have the problem that like that would highly limit people who are like casual fans who might want to be
Yeah,
starting to get involved and stuff. So from a business point of view, that's tough. Um, yeah, it sucks, and especially since Fromers have kind of grown a lot in the last year or two. That for them to now be struggling with the ideas of going on stage and stuff, because Jihan also had a like an anxiety break and stuff. um, because they fear like they're gonna see people who are those people like in their crowds and stuff like that, yelling that kind of stuff at them for real is
Yeah.
obviously not the best thought for them. Um, so yeah, so the fandom is kind of organized and they're trending hashtags and they've written to Pledis and they're saying, hey, can you sort this shit out? Can you find a way to better deal with this? And occasionally we get like the generic kind of statement from companies where they're like, oh yeah, we're gonna please report all hate comments and send them to this email and we're gonna like, press lawsuits at people. And we have seen a few cases where like they've actually pressed, like JYP or someone has actually pressed charges on a particular person, which is more about the statement that it sends rather than like one person being especially responsible or whatever. But hopefully, that will be something that players can do, and they have done it in the past with 17, when 17, especially when Mingyu was getting a lot of shtick after the bullying, school bullying stuff. Players
If
were really, really good about that. So hopefully, they can keep keep that
I think
trend
the only way
for
you kind of
commerce.
fully fix stuff like this in the future is if, like, say this service, it's Weavers, right?
Yeah,
If they're basically able to see who made that comment and just ban that person entirely from the platform
like try
permanently.
and yeah, find a
Like,
way to like IP ban them or whatever. But
yeah, like I know that's
it's
difficult, but that does make it a lot harder for people to do things like that. Even if they find ways around it, it just makes the steps to them doing it a lot more complicated, and I think that deters a lot more people from casually doing it so easily. Like,
yeah.
obviously if someone's insane, they're still going to find a way
Yeah,
to do it,
it's
but
so easy now, I think, to circumvent those kinds of things, right? Like
yeah.
you just to go on a VPN or whatever and just get around something. But at least to show that they're taking an active step and they're trying to protect their artists as their responsibility as the company would be nice. And obviously, since it is affecting the Fromis girls themselves, like Chang, you could tell she was really on the brink of crying at the end of that, and she had to cut the live short and stuff. Like, no one should be going through that when they're just trying to communicate with their fans. Like that's obviously it's not how it should be.
These, like, kind of situations haven't existed for as long as people think, because the internet age as it is not as, like, long existing of a idea and platform as people like to think of, where legislation is made around things over time and stuff. I feel like at some point, maybe 10 years down the future, it's going to be a lot different how people are punished for these kinds of things and stuff, that changes
Yeah,
people doing things like this. Like, there has to be in the future something that is an actual tangible punishment
I mean, we're
for
starting to
online
see it,
abuse.
like like hate speech and stuff is becoming like an actual punishable by law thing. Like police coming around and arresting people in the UK on the basis of tweets that they made and stuff like
Yeah.
that. It
The th-
certainly is something that's
People
happening.
always throw it under this idea of freedom of speech, but you're on a platform.
Mm.
It's not freedom of speech when I'm on YouTube. Like, I'm on YouTube. It is
We
what
You follow
YouTube
their terms and
decides,
conditions.
what
Yeah,
YouTube decides I'm allowed to say,
yeah,
basically. So it's the same under any of these platforms. It's not the idea of, like, I'm outside and I have freedom of speech. I can say whatever I want. You're on that platform. It's whatever that platform basically rules you are allowed to be doing and saying.
yeah. And even like if you're outside and you're you're exercising your freedom of speech and what you say isn't technically illegal, but you're being a huge dick and
Yeah.
making people very upset, a lot of people are not going to want to listen to you, and they're going to try and remove you forcibly from an area because freedom of
Exactly.
speech
Yeah.
doesn't mean freedom from consequence. Uh,
Yeah, I can't
so
I
yeah,
can't go to New York Fashion Week and just start yelling at
burn.
people. Yeah,
Fuck.
I will be removed from that place if I am
Take
doing
it
that.
off.
So
Start throwing dollars on the camel.
it's the same concept of, I can't be an obnoxious prick in person somewhere. Why would I be
Yeah,
allowed to do it online with no repercussions or whatever?
yeah.
It's wild.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people feel confident with like attacking idols and stuff because they feel like they have more because they see so much of an idol, right? Like so much is put out there that they feel like there's more of a connection. It's like it's not the same as doing as attacking a movie star or whatever because they don't have that same like fan base interaction or whatever.
You saw Yoonjin from Le Seraphim's solo song was pretty sick.
Yeah,
She basically was like saying that very statement of like I'm not your doll. Like like it's pretty interesting to see an idol make a
be that
song.
explicit about it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I feel like that's a newer thing for an idol to have a solo song she wrote herself, releases it, and it's telling everyone that, in the song.
it's
Like,
very cool.
yeah.
And um, like
Same
it's doing
company,
well.
technically, right?
Yeah,
Uh,
under the same hive umbrella. Yeah,
yeah.
but their individual management is different.
We did that last time. Seraphim, or not Seraphim. Next time From Us 9 goes live, just need Yoonjin to show up and start slapping people.
Be like, yeah, Yunjin personally moderating people.
I feel like she's one of those idols that has a very just like I don't care like attitude to that, or whatever. Like I don't think you're gonna be able to insult her in the same way as a lot of other idols, where she would just kind of be like, I don't care, like.
Although rolling it back to TXT, she was recently in a dating scandal or like an accusation that she was had a thing with Yeonjun from TXT
Why they
because
stared at each other.
no. So I'm not entirely sure what the conclusion to this was, but someone found a Spotify account called Uni, which said people thought was Yeonjin's Spotify, and her like background or whatever was some artwork, which was exactly the same style as the artwork in the MV that she did, right? That she drew,
Yeah.
like very distinctly like her style, and it was like her and a guy who looks like Yeonjun from TXT. Like, and it wasn't like, oh, this is just a guy that people have said looks like Yeonjun. It was like he was wearing the same clothes and he had like this green, like these green bangs and stuff. So it was like it was distinctive enough that everyone was like, okay, that's clearly. I know exactly what outfit and hairstyle is being referenced. But I actually don't know what the conclusion of that was. I mean, let me. I think it was like dispelled.
God, the internet sleuths are just always on it, aren't they? Like she has a
Yeah.
Spotify account with the fucking background photo. So how was that even found? Is the most interesting part to me. Like,
I have no idea. Um. Oh, it's because her people know her sister's account and her sister follows it or something. Um.
it's just like crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Like, oh my god. So someone's following her sister's Spotify, sees who that follows, and finds that account. Like,
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't know what the deal is. It doesn't matter. Who cares? But just a fun
no,
thing.
it's just wild to me the dedication of some people out there
Yeah.
to find things. My favorite thing forever will be as far as like people online discovering things through like channels will be the Lee Took messaging the fan account of who was it?
Yeonwoo.
That is still to me just like the funniest thing ever.
Oh,
Lee Took out there sliding into fan count DMs, bro.
sliding in the DM.
That's like the most boomer brain thing ever, He's like, oh, let me. Oh, this is.
This must be them. Yeah. That I mean, that sums up Lee Took in a nutshell. That he's boomer brain.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you've seen his TikToks.
No,
Like,
I haven't.
they're so like they're actually quite funny. They're very like old fashioned humor style.
I imagine that
TikTok.
man is like on the he's like what 40 now, probably.
He'll be 40 this year.
Yeah. It's interesting to see like probably him use TikTok and then like a TikTok upload from like a fourth gen group or something.
Right.
Like the difference of
Well,
mindset.
speaking of TikTok, I guess this is another way to perhaps mention something else that was of kind of a big event. um, is that Taeyang has returned to us,
Yes.
and he. No, I was this is a surprise that he actually did like a TikTok challenge because I didn't think that a man like Taeyang would be doing that kind of promo cycle, you know. Because there was a clip of him with Felix and Hyunjin and Stray Kids like doing the dancing and stuff, which obviously for them is like a huge fucking honor and whatnot.
I saw that music video in the last on the Friday Live,
mm.
and it was such nostalgia to be like, oh, Tang's gonna have no shirt on in the beginning, like seconds of this MV. That man doesn't know what a shirt is, where his shirt is.
Yeah,
Like, it was
he
so
must
much
save a fortune on laundry.
It was like an eyes, nose, lips flashback to see him shirtless, like shimmying across the
Yeah,
stage. Like,
the song was I think it was like it was not what I was expecting fully, but I ended up quite liking it.
it's
It was kind of
catchy.
very it was
It's
very
good.
like normal pop, I think.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't like too like it wasn't making me want to grind on the floor or like you know, but yeah, it was catchy
It
enough.
wasn't ring a ling for you or
Ringa Linga,
whatever.
bloody yeah. That was something that he did.
What's the one he did with
Um
G Dragon that's like a
I am
really
a good
yeah,
boy.
good boy. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Tune.
It was good. It's very different voices between him and Jimin
Yes.
from BTS.
I think it works quite well together though. But Jimin's voice at times almost sounds like Jimin's always had quite a girly voice, and I don't mean that
It's
in not a
no, it's
disrespectful
it's a
way at all.
very high register he sings in. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
and so he's able to kind of complement the like the lower, like saying like kind of middle range, like very nicely.
Tang is
It
also
does work
someone who
quite well.
can really go there in that range too. Though
Yeah,
sometimes it's
yeah, yeah.
their
But
voices mesh together well. It's one of those weird things. I'm just so used to if I hear another singer with him that G Dragon's voice is or top is gonna be like there at some point. You
where's
know,
the
like
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that would have been the icing on the cake. Yeah. And of course, most importantly of all, Signature had their comeback today
Our nation's
with
visual has returned to us, ladies
to
and gentlemen.
bestow her Ice Princess
Chase
lips
Soul was
upon us
just
once
giving
again.
everyone else a chance to shine this year. You know,
Very generous of
she
her.
knows when she's on screen, it's not fair to everyone else. So
True. I'll be seeing them on Thursday,
nice.
which is also my birthday.
Oh yeah.
So I'm gonna make that all about me. I'm gonna walk in. I'm gonna be like, guys, I don't care that it's been like a year and 2 months since you last come back. Today is my fucking birthday, and you are. I want you to sing. I want you to make a fuss over me. I don't want to talk about your album. We'll talk about that later. Right now, this is my day.
You gotta make sure you tell Chase Soul how many times I've pumped her as the nation's visual to
Okay, I'll let her know.
to the Discord.
Yeah, I'll have to stop her from crying because She almost certainly will cry. She's a huge. She's always telling me that she cries when she thinks about me. I have that effect on people, I guess.
Yeah, you walk outside and people cry.
Yeah.
I don't. Is there? Oh, I guess we got to make our 2023 predictions, huh? Don't
Yeah.
we?
Let's get
Yes. I
to the
almost
to the
forgot
meat
we
of
were
it.
gonna do that.
Yeah. Um. So there's been some stuff that came out recently about like what JYP and Hybe have kind of planned, or at least some of what they have planned. Um. And it's like, well, the big one is that the Seraphim are going to drop a full length album as their next release.
Seraphim has released a lot of content.
Oh, content, yeah,
Like
two,
already.
two minis.
I know, but when you
Um,
compare that to Ive has three
three
single
single albums,
releases
yeah.
or whatever, yeah.
I mean, yeah. So the Seraphim's plan is they're going to drop a full mini, uh, like, and then go on a world tour,
Mm.
which a full album, sorry, and then go on a world tour, which makes sense because if they were going to go on a world tour with two minis, it would be kind of a bit low on songs that they could perform. So having a full album to call
Well,
from obviously is going to help.
this guy here saw Blackpink live. when they
Blackpink made
did
it
not
work.
have a full like album release to pump
I
out.
saw I saw them too on the same
Yeah,
tour.
yeah. Remember, like the intro, like thing before they ever came out was them showing like the "Kill This Love" video like 3 times
Yeah, they
on
showed all the music
the,
videos
and
over
I
and
was
over
like,
again. Yeah,
these are the things I'm going to get to listen to
yeah, yeah,
live, and you're pumping it over and over again. Before.
yeah.
Yeah, it is
Um,
interesting.
so so they're doing that. I think Twice have got their. Oh, so we'll stick with Hybe and then we'll go to JYP. He's also with about learn about stuff. So BTS, I think obviously they're not doing any full album releases this year. They have, I think, Jimin's solo is coming next, and then there's apparently one or possibly two more coming this year.
Hmm.
So that's all for them. Um, there's going to be, I think, two new boy groups debuting from them. One under KOZ, which is Zico's label, which is owned by Hive, and then one under Pledis. So like a new 17 junior type group, um, which would be like the middle to the like third quarter of this year. And then there's gonna be one girl group debuting, I think, fairly soon,
Hmm.
which is a collab with Universal Music. So
Interesting. Universal,
inevitably,
very, very famous for never
e-
doing anything that isn't
so
perfect.
I mean, and obviously, inevitably, whatever they do is going to be huge. And
Yeah.
I know that New Jeans are going to release like two more things and
Yeah, I
then
guess
go on
my
a tour at
2023
the end of the
prediction is
year.
that New Jeans is gonna probably just take over everything. Like,
Yeah,
what it happened with Ditto? It was like the third thing or fourth thing to ever do with that or something. Like,
the third most packs out of any song ever. Yeah, but the thing is, I mean, some people in Korea have been talking about this. They're like, how popular are they really? Because I think a lot of that has kind of given them a kind of perhaps like an overstated amount of or assumption about their popularity that is
mm,
perhaps not. Although obviously they're extremely popular, right? And you shouldn't get that mistaken. You know, they're selling hundreds of thousands of albums, but not to a degree that's way above the other groups around them.
have they done like the? Because I know aespa of those of the fourth gen has the most album sales or something, right?
Maybe, probably.
I think the aespa girls like album
But
was
yeah,
like a
I think girls did.
1.5 million
Yeah,
sales or something crazy like that. And people
yeah,
just
yeah,
kind of gloss over, I feel like, aespa's popularity sometimes, where they think, oh, they're not as popular domestically as another girl group or something, but it's like, they're
yeah.
pretty massive
I
though.
I think over here more people will know and talk about Esper. And New Jeans certainly had their moments, but people were saying like, oh, actually, I think it was something like because you know those like big global Spotify playlists that you
Yeah,
can see,
yeah, yeah,
like K-pop on or hot hits or whatever.
yeah.
Um, you, I think you basically like you can I don't know how it works, but you could find ways to get your song onto those playlists. Um, and it seemed like New Jeans had theirs on like 58 playlists or something, and just stayed on there for ages. Like even like all these random playlists that you wouldn't think they would have much reason to be on there, they found they got their songs on there, and that was giving them a much bigger kind of digital presence than perhaps they actually had people listening. And apparently here there was stuff with like they were struggling to sell out their allocations for pre-recordings at music shows. People weren't really turning up to see them to do stuff, and so, which I find kind of hard to believe because they're still like a big group, whatever. But their MV was like had less views than Dreamcatcher's and stuff like that. Obviously, that's not discrediting Dreamcatcher, but like you know
Yeah.
levels. So
I think the most
there's something
interesting way to
to
see
be
it'll be
interesting.
in 2023. I wonder that I would feel like I would say them and I've like owned 2022 for girl groups, like, and
Yeah,
it'll be interesting to see if that changes in like 2023. I feel like aespa is one of those groups, if they have a massive release that they're at any moment, they just can rise instantly to the top of all
yeah,
that and stuff, at any moment. Like, I
Well, I
feel
think we're at a point where pretty much anyone who has a moment who releases something will have that moment at the top, right? Because it's the same
yeah.
for Idol, right? Like Idol can drop
I mean,
something and go
arguably,
right back
Idol
up
did
again.
have just like
A huge year,
huge area because Tomboy
yeah,
was massively successful for them,
and
and
Nude was
Nude
as
was
well.
also massively successful. They had an all
Yeah,
kill for both of them or something, didn't they?
yeah.
Yeah, like
Tomboy was doing incredibly well, and it kind of got overshadowed by New Jeans at the end. Yeah, but yeah, Tomboy and Event Horizon both got overshadowed right at the end. Um, but yeah, I think certainly the first kind of 9 months of this year, we're going to see a lot of. I imagine it's going to be a lot of Ive and a lot of New Jeans until because I think Esper and the Seraphim are going to be focusing more on external promotions and stuff,
I will
touring
say
and
though, I'm
whatnot.
very happy with how different those groups were from
Oh
each
yeah,
other.
yeah,
Like I thought 2022, like Le Seraphim, and people might maybe think like I've had like the much better year, obviously because of Love Dive being like this massive dating like award winning song and stuff, but I actually really appreciate how different all of them were
yeah,
from each other. Like they really had different looks and sounds from each other, which I think is good for the whole
yeah,
industry, for them
yeah.
all to
Absolutely.
like
It's showing that that like you don't have to feel like you have to hop on a trend or like be relegated to one sound style, whatever's popular at that time in order to succeed. Like you can, because New Jeans, I think that was the thing that really appealed to so many people is that they came out of here with a sound that hadn't really been done in K-pop for a long time,
yeah,
um, and and was super successful with it, and has certainly impacted the way that other groups have been doing stuff as well, and
yeah.
probably will do continue to do so in the future.
But if you watch the award show and you watch each of them perform, like it's exciting because of how
They're different.
different they are. Yeah,
Yeah,
especially Le Seraphim really to me nailed the award shows. Like
yeah, they did for
they just
sure.
had like a stage presence that really stood out to me
Yeah,
from the other groups when
yeah.
they had those setups for Fearless and Anti Fragile. Anti Fragile live was so well set up that it made me like the song more than I did. You know, like
Yeah,
it was.
I get that. Yeah, some of their performances were really good. They're very confident performers, and yeah, they just give off different vibes because New Jeans have that childlike innocence and
Yes,
whatever, right? That
because
kind
some
of
are
that
children.
yeah, or like yeah, being like in middle school, like early high
Yeah,
school, and like having that kind of experience and vibe. Whereas the Seraphim are very chic and cool, whereas either like models and divas.
yeah. It's
There's
like
very
this
different
like power
vibes.
thing with Le Seraphim every time where I'm like,
Yeah,
especially because like Yunjin and Chaewon just have this like I'm a boss like thing. It seems like when they're on stage too, like, and
yeah.
then
It's
Ive is
funny
like
that
ethereal or something.
you look at the Seraphim and there's just like all this like fierceness and like just
Yeah.
very cool, suave, chic ladies, and then you have Ante who's just like so cute and like precious. It's just like oh,
Which is very
completely
much
different vibe.
doing the maknae like
She
role
is.
of their
She
group.
is one
Yeah,
of the best maknaes I've seen in many years.
yeah,
She nails what she has to do in that role. Um, yeah, and then obviously you have fucking Esper who exists in the AI world or whatever the hell all that shit is.
well, Espa's very
But
distinct from them too, because like it comes like
yeah,
illusion comes on. It's like you know, like this
yeah.
massive like wub
Musically, it's
wub churning
yeah.
on. You know, like
And then of course we have Idol who kept themselves relevant by being a little bit more provocative. And I mean, Seraphim as well have normalized swearing and stuff right from the start, which is cool. And Idol have come in, so it's very interesting seeing the increasing amounts of profanity in
yeah.
songs. I mean, you kind of have to trace that back to Blackpink, really. Like they were the first ones that I really, a big group that I really noticed like to drop swear words and stuff in their songs.
Yeah,
But
especially
having
that
an
recent album with Tally and everything is just
mhm.
the literally from the second of the song the starts is Rose just you
Yeah,
know I say boy when I feel just like right off the drop you know
yeah.
like
Uh, and for Idol to have such success with a song with the literal hook, it has an F bomb in it. Obviously, it gets censored or whatever, but like it's certainly
When they
indicates that
have the
there's going to be a
chance
lot
to
of
do it uncensored,
progression.
they do. Like
Oh yeah, I do it. They do it. That whole chat.
Oogie says that like she's been waiting for a long time.
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Idol to me has
same
always
for
existed kind of in their own
Wonyoung.
space to me
Yeah,
uniquely from a lot of the other groups
yeah,
because that's obviously because Soyeon has such a big part of their identity and sound as well.
yeah. Um, so yeah, I think whatever they're choosing to do, they're going to remain relevant. Um, Seems unlikely that someone's ever going to just drop a stinker that no one likes. You know?
She has insane songwriting consistency. Like there's people who can be really good at songwriting and have like massive highs and lows.
Yeah,
Teddy. um, but even though he's for him it's always successful. But
yeah,
I just feel like yeah, her consistency since if you just look at it, think about how it's like Lion to Hua or no Lion to Oh My God to Hua, right? Is like
yeah,
talk about having those three like back to back is just crazy to me. Like
yeah.
that
And
is crazy good.
the thing is as well is that if she ever finds herself burnt out or
She wrote Dumdy
just
Dumdy too, huh?
she did
And
and
like that is that talk about a
and
switch of
Han and
like
she basically written all of their title tracks. But
yeah.
yeah, if she ever does find herself burnt out or just like in a creative slump or whatever, like the songwriting ability of Minnie and Oogie can't be understated either. Like the songs that they're doing on their albums are like fucking amazing as well.
Yeah.
So in fact, a lot of my favorite Idol songs have been Minnie written
Yeah,
ones.
Minnie helped with Change, right?
Like off the top of my head, I can't
Yeah,
remember for
but
the most
they
recent
had
ones.
that
But yeah.
really catchy kind of upbeat ballad one from the nude album that
Mm.
was
I think
really really
her
well
and
done.
Nuki both did two songs. I think I can't remember
Yeah, I
which
mean
ones.
Miyeon had a really good solo release proving her music
Yeah,
is good as well. Like it's interesting that they
we just had
all
to wait
had
for Shuha to go on and show me the money.
You know, I actually feel like the recent releases compared to before, Shuha really like
Oh
stands
yeah,
out a lot more.
for
Like
sure.
they incorporated her into the music a lot better. I feel like
Yeah,
compared to before.
and she's attracting attention as well. And I think that's something that's notable to talk about is the way in which members attract attention. Because as much as it's kind of something that we don't want because we want the music always to speak for itself more than anything. But visuals are very much an important thing here.
I mean, you don't gotta tell me
People
I die when Mion is on the screen. I don't
well,
like
so there's
it.
a really funny article I saw recently about how Mion is rare because uh she's like mask cursed. Now, when she's wearing a mask, she doesn't look good. Whereas some people benefit from having a mask on.
Hmm.
And Mion, and everyone's like, when you see Mion with a mask, she doesn't look that good. And then she takes the mask off, and everyone's like, "God damn," you know, like. This is it wasn't like a serious. This is a funny
Yeah, yeah.
article.
No, it's like a joke about it.
But people were saying like about the teaser for Baby Monster, people were saying that there aren't any visuals, that none of the members stand out visually.
I feel like it's
Um,
way too soon to say something like that. Like,
yeah, you know, I don't think anything wrong with like looking at some kid born in 2007 and being like, "You're fucking ugly. You're never gonna
oh my
be an
god.
it girl in K-pop."
Like,
Um, yeah, but and also a lot of people over here complaining about how many foreigners there are in the group, like Thai girls and Japanese girls. They don't like it. Like one is okay, and even like ones who've been really popular, like Kazuha, they were like, um, I saw a comment under her Calvin Klein shoot, being like, "Damn, why can't she be Korean? I'd love to see her acting." As if as if it would be impossible for her to act as a Japanese person in Korea, which probably
She
would be.
speaks fluent Korean, but she can't be in
Well,
a K-drama or whatever. Like,
she's getting there, but
yeah.
yeah, it's
Oh, she's not sauna levels where it's like
no.
where someone is like,
No.
"Wait, you're not Korean." When they I've
One
seen
of
that
my
clip on that show, and she speaks so well. The guy like finds
yeah
out she's not Korean, and he looks around. He's like, "Wait, what?"
yeah people like Sana and Nuki are like exceptions for how good they are.
Yeah.
I remember Kazuha not knowing the little ditty that you say before doing rock paper scissors. So she's like, kind of over. And then everyone was like, "Wait, do you not know it?" And she was just like, "No, I've just been whipping it the whole time." Like,
I will say, like, see Sakura, like, she crazy studied, huh? Because it
oh
is
yeah,
like,
she went hard.
like
She went hard, hard.
that is insane in that amount of time to change your fluency in a language that much. Like,
Yeah, yeah. During produce, a lot of the girls were like really crunched in Korean. I think and Sakura took it more seriously than a lot of them. Her and like Miho were like really, really serious about Journey as well, really serious about wanting to debut here. So they really went on that grind. Um but yeah, I guess the point is like how what we think the reception to Baby Monster is gonna be, because like it's YG, so it's obviously they're gonna be a huge success.
yeah.
But it's like, but to what extent is that success going to be international? Is it going to be a situation kind of like Stray Kids where they're enormously successful overseas, and they're breaking records and selling millions, but their domestic reception is not that good for a while.
Do you think YG cares about the domestic reception?
Probably not, as long as the money's flowing, right?
When they look
But
at like what Blackpink does for them and stuff, I think if anything they want to be breaking international
it's a bigger
markets
market,
more. Yeah,
right? Yeah.
like especially like because the funny thing about like people complaining about the foreign members and stuff is like YG's probably looking at Lisa going, well, that worked. So
That worked.
like, you know,
Yeah, exactly.
like
Why not
looking
double
at the
down and
Instagram
get two
followers
titles?
and the solo release being like, isn't it like the most successful K-pop solo release
Yeah,
of a like it's
yeah,
like
yeah.
I don't think YG's worrying about that too much.
I don't think so either. But it does have a bearing on quite a few things. Like there's just it's like certain stuff that you just would expect to see. Like if you think of who are the top K-pop groups in the world or whatever, you would have names like Stray Kids be right up at the top, right? And then you just don't they just have very little to no exposure here, which is crazy given that they're from a big three company, big four company. Like, um, and I feel like it might end up being a similar kind of deal for them. But I'm also very curious as to what they're gonna sound like.
Hmm.
Because the idea of like them having the kind of the Teddy YG sound or whatever.
Well, I mean, 2NE1 and Blackpink both have that sound,
Yeah,
and it's going to
yeah,
be interesting to see a group that would actually break away from that. It is like a 9-member group or something.
7, I
7. I
think.
mean, I feel
Yeah,
like for YG that's a strange thing with the girl group because you've only seen like the 4 and 4 from both
yeah.
groups, so it's kind of a thing where it's how sonically are they gonna sound when YG seems to always have 4 very distinct sounding members in their girl
and,
groups.
and that's always been something that they focused on, is having a very vocally distinct, not necessarily like the best singer ever, but like just someone that whose voice you instantly recognize. And that certainly worked. Everyone recognizes Park Bom's voice, everyone recognizes Rose's voice, and even everyone will recognize Jisoo or Jenny. They both have very clear like vocal tones that you can pick
Yeah.
out from others. Um, so, and I think they already said, I think it was either Chan Hyuk or Sukan from Acme was saying that one of the girls in Baby Monster has like a really distinctive voice. Actually, I think it was Chan Hyuk who was like, yeah, this is like, you could go to every village in Korea and you wouldn't find this voice or something like that. So,
Yeah,
we'll find out.
I saw some comments under like the teaser video thing when Jenny and Lisa were talking about them and saying like these girls are so crazy talented and stuff kind of being mocking about it or whatever. And I was
Mm.
like, if YG says they have like insanely talented trainees they're debuting, I don't doubt it. Like,
Oh yeah.
because like they
There's no doubt that
have
not.
they have some of the craziest talented people we've seen in the industry. So it's like,
Yeah, I think that kind of attitude is just coming from people who think that it means that Blackpink's time is up and they're going to get shifted out
yeah.
in favor of the new kids,
I feel like
which might be the case, but that
if
would be
you look at
ridiculous.
something like Blackpink and BTS, I just think that's already too big of a brand to just be something that just disappears out of
Yeah,
nowhere. You know what I mean? It's already made such a massive imprint. I don't feel like you can just be like, okay, Blackpink, and like shove it into the shelf. You know, like
yeah,
I
you're
feel
done now.
it's
Yeah,
it's too massive. They're headlining Coachella.
yeah.
Like I don't think that's like people kind of
People
understate.
don't really think that is. Yeah,
Yeah, that's not really something you casually do. Like,
I don't know what it was for, but I saw some clip of a red carpet for some premiere or something in America. I didn't really recognize any of the people on there, but I'm sure they were notable young actors, actresses, whatever. And one of the questions just being asked to them was BTS or Blackpink.
mm,
And I'm like, we're at a stage where that's a question, and every single one of them had an answer. No one was like, "Who the fuck is that?"
yeah,
Everyone knew who they were talking about, and most people said Blackpink.
I think that's the biggest imprint both of those groups have made, BTS and Blackpink, where it's just a part of like everyday American life
Yeah,
that those groups
it's
exist
almost been
in.
like adopted by American pop culture
Yeah,
now.
exactly. Like I feel like other groups can't take that claim. You
Yeah,
know, like
yeah,
they are the two that just are in music in general in the whole world. They are involved in each country's kind of sound of what
zeitgeist.
they're listening to and everything, you know, like it is.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah.
crazy when you think how global the two of them are. It's
Yeah, and like looking at the groups that are undoubtedly doing really well here, and they're going to keep growing, and they're going to have international success. It's hard to say now who could be someone who reaches that kind of level. Because I feel like there are, things holding some of them back in some ways that we
yes,
haven't seen them reach that level yet.
as much as I love and sing the praises of IVE, I don't see them becoming something like that to the
No,
global culture of like K-pop.
no.
Even though
I,
I think they make such incredible releases so far, I don't feel like it's the kind of stuff like Blackpink that everybody grasps to globally.
yeah, I think I can certainly dominate Asia.
Yeah.
And I think Starship is quite happy for that. I
And I
don't.
hope they stay that way because I feel like maybe one of the things that makes me like their music so much is that it's not just like this thing that would be on like Billboard Top
Right, right.
100 or something, you know.
Yeah,
Whereas
just keeping that vibe.
Stray Kids could definitely keep growing even more and hit some crazy heights like that. I feel like
Yeah,
aespa of the fourth gen girl groups maybe has the most potential internationally.
yeah, but certainly in the sense that between them and the Seraphim, I think the Seraphim, if they maybe they'll keep releasing the style of music, but if they had gotten more popular, if they'd already done like a round of promotions in the West or whatever, and then they released a song like Anti-Fragile, I feel like, or they promoted with it, because I feel like that style of song is really, really popular
The
in the
kind of
West
like
right now.
reggaeton style they had going
Yeah,
on, yeah.
like I feel like that because you have like like Bad Bunny or is it Benny or Bunny? I'm showing my
Bad
boomer
Bunny
stage.
is the guy's name, yeah,
The
yeah.
Puerto Rican and Rosalia and people like that. Um, who are like Bad Benny was a Heroes of the Storm player. That's why you got confused. They were super 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 popular. So I feel like that if they tap into that kind of market, that could be really huge.
I would say the only thing
Um,
holding Le Seraphim back is the English like the English potential that Blackpink and BTS incorporated into their music or whatever. I would be interested to see Le Seraphim release a really successful like English release or something,
well,
you
I mean,
know.
they have Yunjin, obviously, isn't it? Yeah,
No, I know. I'm just
he can
saying
write songs in English.
I haven't yet seen them do a
Yeah, well,
full English
they've
release,
still
what
got a
it would
long way
sound like and
to
stuff.
go. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, they just made their Japanese debut, and that was actually pretty successful from what I gather. Like there was a fair amount of buzz around them in Japan, which is not always the case, especially because they don't. Oh no, they do obviously have a Japanese member, but sometimes it just doesn't matter. Like the Japanese just don't care about it, but they seem to be vibing with it.
They have Sakura, which is an ace.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, obviously they were going to have that kind of buzz, but I feel like it normally if the song ain't hitting, then the Japanese don't care.
Yeah.
They're more cutthroat in that regard. But so yeah, and then if they go to America with a full length album, maybe they'll have an English song on it or something. It would be cool, especially for Yeonjun to write one. I
I would
imagine
say
she will be the spokesperson in the same way that RM was for BTS. The others might not be as involved, but
well, she's so
yeah,
fluent, obviously, because
yeah,
yeah, so it makes sense. I mean, you've seen it even with Blackpink when they do interviews. Like Jisoo basically doesn't talk. I mean, maybe a one liner or something, and it's really Rose
yeah,
and Jenny doing most of the talking. Lisa is good at English, but she also seems to not speak as much.
yeah,
When you've seen them do American, like a Good Morning America interview is basically Rose and Jenny talking in their accents,
yeah.
like,
Yeah. It often is that way. Like it's the same when BTS were doing their stuff. It would just be RM talking the whole time, and then occasionally the others would chip in with like a line here or there.
another
But
reason I feel Stray Kids has massive potential out of all of them to reach some of those heights is you have those members like Felix and Bang Chan who can just fully fluently do interviews and everything else,
yeah,
no issues. And Bang Chan I feel like is someone who's really really well spoken on
he
camera and
is.
everything. So
He's pretty eloquent, which helps. I think that was certainly a big thing that helped BTS a lot. That it wasn't just that RM could speak English; it was that RM could articulate himself really well.
yeah.
Um, and I think Bang Chan certainly can do the same. Han also can speak English, and Sungmin can speak English as well. I think Han grew up in Singapore, so he speaks English like fluently. But which obviously helps, given that that's like a strong part of their creative direction and everything. I think the one thing maybe holding Stray Kids back more than anything else is that a lot of their music is not fully palatable to the wider Western audience, just because it can be a bit abrasive. I
Mm,
think they certainly, if they wanted to, they could make some songs that would be, and they do have songs in their catalog that are certainly more like
yeah.
that people can vibe with more. But
Although I do feel like I've been around, just like walking around if you're even in a mall in the US or something, and I've heard like Maniac like come on and
mm,
stuff. So it is one of those things where it is more. What's wild? I heard Nude on 102.7 driving home from work the other week. From I heard Idol on the biggest pop
that's cool.
station in the US, like playing. I was like, and it tripped me out because I had to like double take if my Spotify like clicked on or
Right.
something, but no, it was 102.7, which is like the Ryan Seacrest like radio
Right.
station of America, basically. Like it's the biggest pop station we have, and I was like, okay, Idol's playing right now. Like what? Like right
Cool.
after the weekend going call out my name for like an hour. It was a trip. It made me double take, but it's cool to see that. Like
Yeah. And I think, yeah, I don't think necessarily think it like for 2023 that there's going to be like one particular huge breakout moment or whatever, but I think it's just going to be more of the kind of continued growth that there has been.
yeah, it might not be
Um,
one group like you're saying. It's just the genre is just gonna keep
yeah.
expanding
Because
globally.
I feel like we've had that like over the past few years, like we've had like kind of clusters of artists that have all kind of gone and been promoting and doing well, and not no one of them has like ascended to crazy new heights. We've had like Monster X and Stray Kids and 80s and um what else was I thinking of? ITZY as well, of course. Like have all been doing stuff in America and overseas and getting their followings and doing their world tours and stuff. I know like TXT are about to go on there to Europe is very mad that they haven't announced any European dates, but what's new?
Yeah.
um, and we're supposedly going to have, like I said, the Seraphim tour. It's going to be an ITZY tour, I think. It's going to be Stray Kids tour. Like all these artists are be going out, and I imagine they're going to be doing some promotions and
I mean,
stuff.
the ITZY tour in the U.S. was really well done. It was really good, and every show I saw, like I said, especially the one I went to, was completely sold out and people losing their minds.
And it seems like every year when an artist comes again, they're at bigger venues, right? They're going
Yeah, it
bigger, bigger and bigger
expands
venues.
more and more each time. Like Blackpink went from doing the Forum to like the entire LA Galaxy like stadium this time.
Right.
Like it was like, it's just bigger stadiums each time they return. I feel like the best way to describe what Blackpink and BTS probably have done for the genre that'll expand into 2023 is they've like the gateway drug to the rest of K-pop, kind of.
Yeah.
How many people have just started by hearing like a Blackpink song and then ended up a fan of like New Jeans or something? Like it's
Right. It's probably especially helpful in a way that because of BTS's hiatus and because of Blackpink is Blackpink, but they don't release music that often, that it's meant that new fans have come in, listened, and been like, "Well, I want some new stuff now,"
yeah.
and then
And
gone
then they
down
go
that
check out
road.
like N hyphen or something, like
Yeah.
it probably
Especially under hype. Like, I mean, the thing I know, like Army are so culty and they want people to not listen to anything else, but a lot of more sane people who enter the fandom won't follow that advice and will just be like, oh, hey, I'm going to check out. What's the group that like David after BTS in the same company? I'll TXT, I'll check them out, or
yeah.
and then it goes from there, right? Um, which yeah, it's certainly a thing. They've been a big gateway. Um, all of it coming back to Psy, I guess. So maybe perhaps still deserves his credit because yeah, I was watching this show that you know Alexander Armstrong. He's like a comedian actor in the UK.
I that name sounds really familiar to me.
Yeah, I don't know how well known he is outside of the UK. He did a show about South Korea, so where he went and did stuff and like when he was in Gangnam and talking about K-pop, and which was done in a like a well researched and respectful way. Fortunately, it wasn't the usual kind of shit you get.
Yeah.
Um, the first thing he said he mentioned was Psy, and he went in Gangnam. There's you can go to this place where they have Psy's hands like crossed in the Gangnam style pose and stuff. And he went there and stuff. And then he went and went to a recording studio, and guess what song he recorded, or he recorded a version of?
But did he do Gangnam Style? Like what is
No, he did a girl group song
a girl group song?
by a famous British K-pop group.
He did that. What's that? I know that group. I just can't think of the name. This is not. It's
No,
either. It's not Spice Girls, but he did like
no, a K-pop group.
a K-pop group. That's.
A British K-pop group. I'm making a bit here that you'll get in a second.
I don't. What is it? What is it? What is it?
Run to you.
Oh my god.
He did run to you.
Because of Stacy.
Not that isn't the reason he did it, but like there were Stacey were involved and they like he hung out with them or whatever.
Oh, that's sick. You'll have
But
to share that to me. So is that why? Is that why?
there's like no clips of it, so that might be a challenge.
Is that where
But
Cian lent her accent for
maybe.
for her pronunciation?
But it's really he was like in the booth, trying to like reading the Romanized lyrics or whatever, and the Korean producer was like, "Yeah, I have one question. What language are you speaking right now? Because it doesn't sound like anything I know." but yeah, but it's like my dad saw that, and now my dad knows who Stacey are, which is not something that I thought would ever be a thing, like.
Yeah.
And it was always the first one was like my dad's brother. He knew Blackpink because his kid listens to Blackpink in New Zealand, and I was like, okay, cool, like that's a classic, right? Like Blackpink gets the exposure, and now it's like now there's other artists like Stacey who are getting that kind of exposure too, and it's like it's getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, the next generation is just gonna make it such a normal part of like music in society, where like a group drops and they're listening to it, and everybody through them knows about these groups and stuff.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna become a very normal part of society. I feel like to know like each gen's releases of K-pop and stuff,
Yeah.
like casually know it. Like, the way we know when a big new pop star arrives in American pop music and stuff. It's just gonna be kind of the same thing to me, where it's like people know about fifth gen when it comes out or whatever,
Right.
like, when do we stop numbering the gens? When it
Oh, we'll never stop. We'll never stop.
when we're at like 100 or something. Like, it's wild.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess I mean that's probably our conclusion, right? It's just that it's going to get bigger and bigger. I don't think there is going to be any one standout. It's just going to be each. I think each one of the groups that we've seen do so well so far is going to have another moment in the limelight, and then that will last until the next one releases something, and then that's going to shift. I really do hope we see Stacey come kind of back up to the limelight. I kind of feel like it's going to be hard for them to do that.
I still feel like they did
Um,
really good though. I mean, every release they had, I feel like was so well done. Like it's
Yeah, but people didn't vibe with Beautiful Monster. I think people just wanted another ASAP.
Run to
um,
You was pretty big though, right?
yeah, Run to You did okay, but yeah. Either way, it's just they're very much the smallest fish in that pond. As even though that's they're not small.
Yeah.
Uh, I'm looking forward to the eventual comeback of Weekly as well, but I feel like maybe they've left a little bit too late. We'll see.
I guess to conclude, what I want to see in 2023 is I've World Tour. Come on, I know you have like 5 songs, but if I sat through like 3 versions of do 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 and Whistle, and you think I won't watch 3 renditions of Love Dive in different sounds, you're wrong. I will sit through a show of remixes of After Like and Love Dive. Okay, I've
No.
World Tour. Come on, let's go. Actually, an I've album dropping is what I most want to see out of
I mean,
2023.
it'll have to happen
A
this
full
year.
album, full
There's
length.
no way. Maybe a full length, maybe not, but maybe like 2 minis or something.
Yeah.
We'll see.
All right. This has been the K-pop podcast. I'm Honan.
I'm Oliver.
Goodbye.